Good evening, everyone. This is Ryan Hoyme, aka Massage Nerd, and today we have a special guest. Let me get right into it. Inspirational and passionate, yet practical and down-to-earth, healthy marketing trainer and speaker Krishna Everson shows health practitioners and national therapists that not only they can attract all clients they need to fill their appointment book, but they enjoy doing it. Krishna empowers therapists and helpers to passionately share their message to position themselves as a go-to person in the field and create lucrative health businesses doing what they love. She lives in the Sunshine Coast of Australia with her husband, who is a successful home-based massage practice, and her young family. Welcome tonight, Krishna.
Thank you, Ryan. It's so great to be here. I'm very excited, and it's daytime here. It's only noon.
Oh.
And not only that, can I say it's spring in Australia already, so we're enjoying the first day of spring.
Oh, because I'm living in Minnesota, and in one more month it's going to be winter, so...
Oh, okay. Yes, we're excited.
Yeah. So how did you get involved in this marketing thing that you have?
Well, my husband and I moved to the Sunshine Coast about 8 years ago from Sydney. So we went from a big sea change from Sydney to the northern Queensland, which is a much more tropical place. And I had come from a background in advertising and health marketing, worked in the fitness industry quite a bit. But he wanted to be a massage therapist because he'd had a lot of chronic pain, and it was a massage therapist really who got him out of trouble. So when we moved to Queensland, we decided to start a health business called Vitality Options, and that was a massage practice, and we had a whole lot of health products. So we sold Pilates equipment and yoga stuff and relaxation CDs and all of that kind of stuff. And where we went wrong is we were way too many things to too many people. So over time what we did was refine that down to the massage practice and selling massage equipment to therapists. So we really started to work with massage therapists a lot. And what was happening was when a practitioner would come to purchase a table from us, all I ever did was talk about marketing, and I didn't realise I was doing this. I was part of my husband's business. I was his support person. But I really found myself talking about it a lot, and what they were going to do when they finished their training, what they were going to call their businesses, just all kinds of things. And what happened was some students one day said, you should run workshops because we'd come. And that was my aha moment. That was about three years ago. So from there I began some pilot programs showing health practitioners how to promote their practice. And it just drew on my 25 years of working in the fitness industry and the advertising industry. So I applied it in some pilot programs, tested everything on my husband, the massage therapist, of course. And it's just grown over time now. So now that is my business. We've got two separate businesses now. And I just completely devote my time to making marketing fun, so that it's not complicated. I just think we make it way too complicated than it needs to be, and it's about really sharing what you're passionate about. So that's really where I come from. I help you navigate that whole learning curve around marketing. So that's where I am now. That's what I do every day.
Yeah, and it seems like so many massage therapists are scared of marketing. Are they kind of scared of it over there, would you say, some of them? Or?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I hate it. I hate marketing. I'm no good at marketing. So there's always that mindset is almost, 95% of therapists feel that way. And that was the other reason why I began this business, seeing the need for it, because we had friends who were massage therapists that were giving up and just going back to jobs that they hated, or just finding whatever they could because they couldn't make ends meet. So that was the other motivating factor for me starting the business, because I knew how they felt and I knew that I could also help them. And so that the driving force for me is I don't want people to feel inadequate, because I don't like feeling that way, and I knew that was how people were feeling. So really, I take it back to basics and let's implement what's right for your business. I don't expect people to do, to be talking in front of 2,000 people when they're not comfortable with that. So it's finding what works for you based on your skill set.
And what's a typical massage therapist like there?
Oh, well, where I live, I'm in a regional area of Australia. It's very tropical, beachy, and so there are a lot of people here that come for that kind of beachy lifestyle. So you've got different types of massage therapists. There's the ones that are more, you know, polo shirt, nice pants, that kind of thing, or there's the ones wearing sarongs and thongs, and that's very prevalent as well. So you get different types of therapies. Kahuna's the Hawaiian therapies is quite popular here. Lots of remedial therapists, but they tend to have different flavours or a different feel about them. And I encourage people to tap into how, you know, that essence about themselves and work with where they feel most comfortable. And, yeah, so probably here on the coast, probably a lot of part-time therapists who are into conscious living. That would be a very prevalent group here where I'm living. But in Australia, you get all kinds, depending where you are, whether you're in a city. But for me, it's regional. So you get a lot of people here who are attracted by the lifestyle, and they're massaging to support other interests that they have. So that's quite common.
Okay. And is there rules and regulations for massage therapists around that area then? And
it's somewhat regulated. Now, I think you guys are a lot more regulated than we are.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah, there are. Now, our health system operates differently, so we can join a health fund so that we can claim. So if you know, someone pays $80 for a massage, they may get a percentage of that back if they are with a health fund. Now, in order as a practitioner for you to be registered with these health funds, you need to meet certain criteria, and one of those would be to be a member of a certain a massage association, which has its own criteria. So it's kind of a self-regulated industry right now. There are lobbying there's two sides of the argument. There's people that say we want it to be regulated so that we're seen more of a profession, and there's the other argument saying, no, we don't want that because we don't want to be governed by how the world does things. We want to keep it about natural therapy and about the history of massage and all of that. So there's two very polar views on the direction that we should take. So in Australia, we're sort of at that crossroad. So we're pretty much self-regulated at the moment, but a lot of massage therapists operate who don't have the health funds stuff, and you can certainly practice that way, but to be insured, you need to be a member of an association. So that's all your you know, public liability stuff and all of that to get insurance, and that would be a minimum that I'd recommend someone have if they're practicing here. Yeah.
Yeah, and do you guys have liability insurance too and stuff you have to carry?
Yeah,
or? Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then what about with prostitutes? Do prostitutes use massage at all then, or is that separated totally? Or
it's very separate. As a rule, there's a very strong line between the massage industry and the sex industry. And so, for example, in the classifieds in our newspapers, the columns will say the massage in these columns are therapeutic professional massage, and then the sex industry is completely separate. You really don't see them talking about, you know, I don't know, happy ending massage or any of that. You don't see that.
wow.
That being talked about. It's just quite a strong line, and so we really don't have a big issue with that here, although we get the occasional call, like in my husband's business, he'll get a call occasionally, and you know that that's what the caller is looking for, and you can always pick them. They talk very fast, they want it immediately, it's often late at night because we do have long hours in our practice from 8 a.m. till 10 p.m, and they want a woman. So when they're talking quick and they kind of want it now, we know that what they're after. And it's like, no, we don't do that. And my husband, who does have some contract workers also, some massage therapists work with him, he doesn't have any women going out after 6 p.m. He doesn't feel comfortable with that. So that's kind of how we manage that. But yeah, it's quite separate. You get the odd call, but it's just, not really a big issue here in Australia.
Okay. And then with Australia too, would you see the massages on the uproll kind of thing? Are they and they're constantly adding and adding to the whole market then?
Yeah, it's a growing industry. It's becoming more professional. More people the growth in all kinds of natural therapies in Australia is huge, which is fantastic. So, I think in this social media-led world, we're starting to have more say as consumers. We're starting to be able to direct the market to where we want it to be, and massage is a growing industry. And I think massage therapists are, stepping up to the plate and becoming more professional, and they see the importance of being seen as a profession as opposed to someone that might be just doing it for a hobby, that sort of thing. But yeah, definitely a growing area. All of natural therapy is here. It's really, really booming. So it's fantastic.
And would you say it's easy to get a business going and stuff, or do a lot of people leave the field after a few years?
Look, a lot of people do leave. They don't even really get those first runs off the board. And I think it's really about when you begin, where do you see yourself being? And, I guess you have people who want to have their own business, people who are happy working for someone else, and also someone that's kind of in the middle of those two that might do a bit of contract work for themselves as well as working for someone else. So there's kind of all three areas. Now, whether it's easy, no, it's not easy having your own business, because there's a lot of things to think about. It's not like working for someone else where you go to work and you get paid. You need to generate that income. So you need to be really clear that that's what you want, that you want to be working for yourself. And there's so many benefits of doing it on your own. But I think it doesn't matter what business you are in, you're in the marketing business. And the way I kind of look at that is that, to me, all that marketing is having a conversation about what you're passionate about. That's what marketing is to me. So what are you passionate about? Are you passionate enough to keep going, to move towards what your vision is, what your goal is? That's really how. So like my husband, as a massage practitioner, he has a home-based business. We've had that. It's been a thriving practice for 9 years now. And he just built it up, and it grew probably about 20 to 30% per year was the growth in that business.
Wow.
And so it just steadily grew, but he was very focused what he wanted to do. The other thing that we found that was really interesting, by monitoring the peaks and troughs in the business, because they exist, what's good though, over time they level out more, so the troughs aren't as, they don't bottom out. You have they only go down to a certain point. That's where you want it to be. You don't want the really deep troughs. What we noticed that every year the pattern was the same. So if you start out intending to succeed and prepared to keep taking your business forward and allow that there's going to be some fluctuations and watch that, you'll see that they happen at the same time every year. So what happens then is you can actually plan for it each year. And the great thing about that is when it does drop, you can just go, oh, this is normal for this time of year. So instead of going, oh no, it's the global financial crisis and now everything's fallen flat and I'm done for, you can go, well, hang on, this is kind of a normal trough. So that's really useful. So actually monitoring that a little bit and is valuable so that you know what you're dealing with. So I think, yes, you can be successful, but you need to know where you want to be. If you go into it going, oh, well, I'm just going to have a go and see what happens, which a lot of practitioners I know do that, that's not going to work for you.
Yep. And the nice thing about that, too, is you know when to take vacations then, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Funnily enough, Easter's a real good time for us to have a holiday, and it's because we're in a holiday area, and normally holidays are a real peak for us, but at Easter it's real family. The family tourists arrive, and they're not as likely to go and spend time having massage just because they're spending time with the kids and all of that. So we know that Easter's actually a really good time for us to take a break, and August is a great time for us to take a break. They're our best times based on what we know about the business, yeah.
And what do you think is the biggest way massage therapists advertise in your area?
Look, word of mouth is really big. A lot of of them use the newspapers. Online as well is really growing. I think you guys are well ahead using online marketing to promote health modalities, but that's growing for us, and people are starting to engage more using social media. But we still do use the yellow pages quite a bit. We still use the newspapers quite a bit. My husband actually goes down and massages at a coffee shop down on a Sunday morning as a way of being visible, because we're a home-based practice. So, networking. Practitioners here aren't great networkers, but it's for those of them that do network, it can be a really valuable way to pick up new contacts. Often joint venture contacts too, not necessarily clients. Joint ventures is a really, really powerful way to get new business. I'd recommend that highly. And but yeah, still Yellow Pages is big. But in saying that, it's big but not necessarily the best way, and I think a lot of practitioners are very happy to hide behind an ad rather than be more visible and connect more where they're seen. So I think that might be why the Yellow Pages is still a big choice. We have a thing here too called natural therapy pages. So if anyone's listening who is from Australia, that is one of the key online directories here in Australia. Natural therapy pages, it's big. It's got about 16,000 practitioners listed on it, and it does get really good Google rankings and things like that. So that's quite popular here. Yeah.
And then with your website, it's a .com.au. Is that common over there? Is that how you guys do it?
Yeah, we do .com.au, and to have the AU, you do need to have a registered business, and they encourage you to actually use your business name. If you want to use your business name, we have lots of rules around that. So if you want to use AU, it needs to be a registered business name. It needs to be directly connected with the kind of activity you're doing. So we've got quite a few restrictions around using the AU, but we're allowed to use the .com, and anything goes. But AU helps us with the search engines for people to find us locally in Australia. It helps to have the AU.
Okay.
There.
And you guys don't have a .au at all? I mean, you have to do the .com and then .au then, or okay?
Yep, com.au.
Okay. Yes. So is this? But do you guys ever do a .com then too over there, or?
Yeah, a lot of people use .com, especially if we don't have a registered trading name, and you want a whole bunch of web addresses for different purposes. We'd use .com for that, and it's cheaper actually.
Yeah. It is. Okay. And then you said before that a lot of therapists over there aren't using websites as much. Do you see that happening soon, that they're going to get into it, or?
Everyone's embracing it. Yes, they are. And it's good to see that happening. They are embracing it and starting to use, the video on their sites and engage more through social media. So they are beginning to embrace the electronic cyberspace kind of world, the Twitterverse, I like to call it. There is a shift, but there's still a lot of people that aren't using it. So that's kind of part of my role, is to help to introduce it to them gently. Okay. I'm very gentle at the beginning.
Yeah. And here's over here in the America, there's they say there's about 15% male therapists, about 85% female therapists. Would you say that's pretty common over there, or?
Yeah, I still think there will be a higher percentage of women, especially because if it's associated with the beauty industry and that sort of thing, that's where you'll see a predominantly female demographic, I guess. But we have a lot of male therapists, and probably, especially in the sports arena and that sort of thing, that kind of therapeutic massage, probably I reckon it'd be a fairly even split. So it's hard to know. I don't think it'd be as low as 15%. Okay. We have a lot of male therapists. Where I am, there's a stack of male therapists, and they're teaching massage. They're leaders in their field. They are really recognised for quality Yeah, we got good male massage therapists.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yep. And then do a lot of therapists use your kind of services then? Are there other people over there that like coaching and things and marketers and?
Yeah, there's a few of them around, sort of scattered around, and we all have different, I guess, focuses. Some of us are working in a practice, and my business has diversified a little bit out from massage therapists into health, and now really into heart-based therapists, people that are trying to make a difference. So my business has become a bit more diversified, but there's still people who are very practice-focused, and maybe not just around the marketing, also around getting good business practices in place. So I think it just depends what you're looking for in your business as to who's the best person. And we all encourage one another, and we're not really competitors as far as these kinds of coaches. We all have different things to offer. Yeah, so I'd be lifting them all up because the industry needs help, because we want therapists to be successful, and the more that we can do that as an industry, the better. And I'd encourage, therapists to mentor other therapists. I really believe in that, because we've got to lift the industry up as a whole, which is what you're doing so brilliantly. I love it.
Okay, thanks.
Well done.
Yeah. And what about new therapists? How do they get their first clients? What's the easiest way to get a boost?
Oh, look, I think they start with their friends and family. So whilst some, depending who you do your training with here, some really discourage you doing massage until you've completed your training, and that can be a bit laborious. I think, get your hands onto bodies as soon as you can. Make it as practical as possible as soon as you can. So I think people really start with their friends and family. And so from there, I think it's important, because making that transition from free massages because I'm learning into, I'm a business now, I'm registered, now I'm a business, people do struggle with that. And I think it's just a matter of drawing a line in the sand and going, okay, in another month or in another 2 months, I'll have finished my training and I will be officially a massage practitioner, and I'm going to start charging. And so that's really, it's just a matter of taking a deep breath and making that statement and being strong in it. So when you're first starting, it's, start with what you've got in your hand. I really believe, rather than going out and trying to get new people straight away, what have you already got around you? You've got your people that you've already done for nothing, your friends and family. Who are your greatest advocates? Who are the people that are really giving you the best comments? Who are they prepared to tell and recommend to you? And be happy to ask for referrals. Let them know that you've just begun your business, that you're not advertising, and who do they know that you could help because you've already helped them. And just start to get the word out that way, and just systemize it. And when I say system, I'm just do something and keep repeating it. So ask for referrals. When people give you a referral, thank them, and just remind people to continue to give referrals. Now, we actually give a reward for referrals here, just a voucher, like a $10 voucher. Are you allowed to do that in the US?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So we just reward them, and they can use as many vouchers as they want. So if they, told 5 people in a 30-day period, they could have all of those reimbursed, but we have a time limit. So I think time limits are really important. I'm anti-discounting, but value-adding is fine. And I think when you're first starting, it's okay to have an offer, an introductory offer when you first begin, but it must be limited. I think it's really, really important that you set your time frame and then stick to it. So if you're going to say for the first month, you can have 2 for the price of 1. Now, that's better than doing a 50%. If you do 2 for the price of 1, you've got 2 people getting to experience your services. So It's much more powerful for you. You're going to reach double the people that way, rather than saying, come and get a massage, it's 50% off, because I think it's important to begin with your price where you want it to remain. It's very hard if you start halving your price and getting some clients, and then they want it to continue at that price, and then they'll go elsewhere because they're just discount shopping. Yeah. You want to discourage that. So it's better off to set your price where you want it to be, do 2 for 1 just for the first month because you're building a client base, and value add wherever you can. Here we value add, we use an infrared sauna to value add, and it pays for itself very, very quickly, but that's kind of what we offer so that we can keep it. Our price point here is $80. That's what we charge for massage if they come to our home clinic. And so we value add using something that you could value add with a reflexology session or a foot spa or a facial if you're that way inclined. Is that making sense?
Yeah. So you're saying that 2 for 1, it has to be a friend they bring in, and so one of them gets it free and one has to pay, basically, or?
Well, they can split it between 2. The idea is that you're getting 2 people, not 1.
Yep.
And I would have a very set time limit, like they need to do it on the same day, or just make it as simple as possible. They come in on the same day, or back to back, or whatever, just rather than, oh, well, here's your half and now we'll give you a voucher for the other half. Too hard. Keep it simple.
Yep.
Just both come in, stay, have your massages.
Yep. Yeah. And honestly, I've never heard of that, and that's an awesome idea. I mean, that's an instant way to build up clientele, it seems like, right away. So.
Yeah, can I tell you a really good joint venture I heard of?
Yeah.
Can you imagine a dentist and a massage therapist joint venturing?
Once in a great while I've heard of that and stuff, but more a massage therapist working for a dentist kind of thing, if somebody has like TMJ problems or something. And
Well, what this was, now this actually is an associate of mine called Brenda Thompson, who runs a business called Networking World, and she teaches people how to joint venture successfully. And this wasn't what you think. It wasn't like, I'll be in the massage, I'll be in the dental clinic with my chair massage, massaging people so they're not stressed out when they get into the dental chair. But it wasn't that at all. And what this was about, really what the massage therapist thought, that by going to the dentist and saying, here's some vouchers, and it will encourage people to come to the dentist. And he wasn't interested in that at all. What he was interested in was making sure people came for their repeat checkups. So what they did was, this therapist gave 100, so not just a few vouchers, 100 vouchers to the dentist to reward people who came for their annual checkup. Now, this massage therapist was just a few doors down in like the same block of shops. Now, you can imagine how getting a new individual into your practice for 15 minutes, having 100 of them, what that's going to do for building your client base.
Wow.
Because you're going to get people who are going to convert into customers. Even if it was only 10%, that's 10 new full-paying clients. And once you've got that first 10, you invite them to refer, you remind them about the reward that they can have, and steadily your practice will build, providing you do it consistently. So that's kind of, I love that joint venture idea.
That's huge, yeah, definitely.
I've even heard of people doing it with crash repairers. Again, this is a Brenda Thompson story, who with this particular crash, car body work, if they had someone come who'd actually been in sort of a more serious accident where there may have been, back injury, that they would actually refer them to the practitioner.
Wow.
Different type, much less people, very qualified sort of process, but just another way of going about it. Yeah. Joint ventures are big.
Yep.
I would encourage.
Yep.
Okay. I meant to put that away.
Yep.
I would encourage practitioners to joint venture with other health practitioners and create an alliance or something like that, where you can promote yourselves as a health alliance. Does that sort of thing go on there much?
Some, I would say. Every now and then you hear about those kind of things in a way, but, it'd be nice to get a lot more, though.
Because people start and then they kind of lose momentum.
Yep.
So if you start, look, we want to make a difference in our community with their health. Let's come together and really create something amazing. How about we have a massage practitioner or a nutritionist, a fitness instructor, and, you know, the local football club, and together we'll just put a health newsletter out every quarter and promote ourselves that way. Just be consistent, be in front of your ideal clientele on a regular basis. Yeah, remind them about what you do.
Yep. And then do you guys do anything with Groupons there? Have you guys heard of that at all?
We do have Groupons here. I'm not totally familiar with it. Now, with the coupon kind of marketing, that's fairly discounted, isn't it?
Yep. Huge.
Yeah, I'm not completely comfortable with it, only because it is heavy discounting. Yeah, I'm in two minds about that. But if it's bringing your ideal client into your practice and that they're not just coming because it's a discount coupon, that's the key. I think being really clear about what it is you're offering and people being attracted to that rather than they're only coming because it's cheap, that's a dangerous slippery slope. Your business won't grow if that's why they're coming to you. So it's important to make it clear why they should come to you, why you're a good choice.
Okay. And then what's do you guys do much with newsletters over there then?
Yeah, newsletters are quite popular. We're doing them online, and also not only online but also snail mail. We use both in our practice, and because sometimes it's nice to get something in the mail.
Yeah, people are just shocked sometimes, especially for your birthday or something, yeah. And yeah.
They are. Now, I encourage people to keep it simple. I think online newsletters using something like MailChimp.com is great because it's super easy and it's free for up to 1,000 or so subscribers, and they don't necessarily have to opt in for that, so you don't have to send them a confirmation and then they have to accept that okay. You could put your existing database, but again, of course, you need to abide by spam laws and all of that and make sure that they know that you're going to be using their email address. But, you know, I really encourage people to do a newsletter, but if that just fills you with dread, I want to be massaging. I don't want to spend a whole day trying to write my newsletter. I totally get that. So what I'd encourage you to do is actually just write a series of fact sheets instead. And so you can send out the fact sheets periodically, or here in Australia, it's Father's Day this coming Sunday. So that's, have a fact sheet around taking care of Dad that you can use and reuse on an annual basis, or just tweak slightly, make it easier on yourself so you don't have to keep redoing. So that's often a good approach.
Okay.
And you could have a series of newsletters or fact sheets. So the first one could be just your introduction. Thank you for coming. These are the things to be mindful of. This is how you might feel after your massage. These are some of the after effects that you might experience. Make sure you drink plenty of water, all that kind of thing. And then have just some regular follow-ups that come out. You could do that as an autoresponder using an email system such as Aweber or Constant Contact or iContact, where they go out automatically, which allows you to just set that up once and then it just comes through automatically, kind of on a set and forget type basis. So client comes for the first one, they get the intro, and then they just get a series, one about stress, one about essential oils, one about shoulder injuries, whatever feels good, whatever your clients are asking you about, what their regular questions are, that's what to address in a newsletter.
Okay, great. And then you deal with therapists all over the world then too?
Yes, okay. All over the world. Our best friend Skype.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And I've really embraced YouTube, Brian. So
yes, I saw that. Yes, it's nice. Yeah.
I'm about to do more too. You'll be proud of me. And, learning from the best, of course. Yeah. And but no, absolutely happy to. Normally, especially with the US, our time zones do work nicely together. It's harder to work with the UK because normally we're asleep when they're awake most of the time. But definitely the US, we've got some nice complementary time zones so we can work together well.
Yeah, definitely. And then how do people find their niche?
Look, yeah, this is an interesting topic, and I've been working with this lately, normally I recommend that you start with, well, what have you got in your hand? Who are the people coming in to see you, and what is the common themes? Because everyone will go, but I get everyone. There will be some commonalities, but I've started to talk less about the niche thing. Now, we call it niche, not niche. So I'm sorry, I could say niche because niche feels funny for me. So it's a niche. No, I'll do the opposite. I'm going to meet you where you're at. So niche. I'm going to say niche.
Yeah. Well, you guys say massage so much better than we do, so.
Oh, the Aussie drawl massage.
I love that, yeah.
Everything massage.
Yeah.
We draw it out. Yeah. Okay, so the niche. Look, I really began to. I do some branding workshops here on the coast, and when we start to talk about your brand and things, we've found it's really, and even with your marketing, your article marketing, to talk to one person. So yes, absolutely believe in the niche concept, but I actually want to encourage people to think, who is their ideal client and what are they like? And then which niche should they fit into? So my ideal client is someone who, recognises that massage isn't just a luxury, that it's actually a necessity. They understand and appreciate the benefits of it. They're prepared to commit to having massage or bodywork regularly because they understand the benefits. They believe in it for their family. So you can actually talk about your niche as an individual person, and so that when you're creating your marketing or you're talking through social media like Facebook or writing a newsletter, you're writing for them. What are their issues? What are their concerns? What are their problems? What do they care about? And it just allows you to be more heartfelt with your marketing, so you can really connect with, well, why is it you're doing what you're doing, and who are you doing that for? So I'd like to encourage people to actually think about, well, who's my ideal person and where do they fit from a niche point of view? But yeah, definitely start with what have you got in your hand? Who are the people that give you the best feedback? Who are the people that are constantly giving you testimonials? Who are the ones that are giving you referrals? What is it about them? What are the common things that you're noticing? Like it could be, gee, I've got a lot of nurses coming, and so you could hit that nursing niche. I really encourage niching. It is the way to go to differentiate yourself, because you don't want to just be like everybody else. It's really important to find and stake your claim in something that you really believe in strongly, where you can make the biggest impact, and focus on that. So starting with what's in your hand, who are the people that are already, who are you already attracting? That's a really great place to start. And if you're only just beginning, don't stress too much. Get a feel for where you want to be, what you like to do. And I find that, practitioners do evolve and they start to introduce other themes into their practices, other, nutritional elements and stress management and all of that. So if you are doing that, think about, well, who am I going to help with this stress? Is it stressed executives? Is it stressed parents? And really finding a group of people that you can meet their needs very specifically, because that's how you get seen as an expert in your field. And, don't be in Australia, it's not okay to blow your own trumpet. It's really odd. We have this tall poppy syndrome here, so blowing your own trumpet or saying you're an expert at anything, people really struggle with here. But, it's really your audience or your clients who say you're an expert at something at the end of the day. They're the ones that will be telling their friends, oh, they're an expert at this, or they're brilliant with shoulders, or brilliant with hip injuries. If you can find somewhere that you get really great results in, go with it.
Yep. And then somebody in the Phyllis in the chat asked, what are those cards in the background on the blinds?
Now, these are your send-out cards. Is Phyllis a send-out card person?
I don't know. I'll ask her.
I love send-out cards. Now, these are the cards that you can send anywhere in the world from your computer, and you can write the content. It can be personalised, and it gets mailed to and sent to the individual's address. And I get a lot of these from a lot of business associates that I work with, or people that I've aligned with. Customers and clients send them to me, and I love them, so I keep them because it's important to me that they've taken the time to go to the computer and fill it out and put my name on it and send the send button. And it's a really low-cost way to stay in touch with your clients. And so you can set it up so that they'll get one automatically for birthdays, special occasions. If they've had a graduation, you could send one. And people don't bother. So it's really a really great way to help to retain your client base is to be in contact with them on a regular basis. And the send-out cards are a really great way to do that.
Okay.
Highly recommended.
Awesome. And then
Yes.
somebody in the chat says, was all of Australia excited about Oprah's visit at all?
Oh, yeah. It was huge. Oh, yeah, everyone, there was a lot of Facebook chat in Australia about that at the time, and it really was brilliant. We loved watching the shows, and because she is huge here. And, I don't know, it was great. There was a lot of talk leading up to it. Everyone wanted to earn their seat at the Oprah show, and a few people did, and they got their Oprah pendants, and it was just great because I love the Australian outback and everything. So it was great to see Oprah and all of those people from the US enjoying a bit of that Aussie outback experience, because it is really amazing if you get to come over and experience some of that. Yeah, we love the whole Oprah thing. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And they also asked, too, was massage therapists involved in any way in the visit, would you say, or do you know of?
Yeah, I'd be surprised if they weren't.
Oh, good.
But yeah, I reckon they would have laid it on.
Yep. and is social media really big over there, would you say?
Yeah, it's definitely growing. It's my friends and I love it. I spend a lot of time on it, especially Facebook. But yeah, look, Australia's a baby in relation to things like Twitter and stuff. We're just starting to embrace it, and but yeah, it's certainly big, but probably not as big as it is in the US, but growing, rapidly. So yeah, we love social media because we like to be social. Australians are social creatures, yeah.
And is Twitter big over there too?
Pardon?
Is Twitter big over there too, or?
Not as big. And people tend to dabble. They sort of go in and out. So they'll have little periods where they're on it and then it'll lie dormant. But yeah, it's growing. Definitely growing. Yeah.
And then with, do you try to talk massage therapists into getting a fan page and everything too? And
Yeah, definitely. Having a presence. And so it's just about starting small and gently, getting some consistency happening. And once you begin to see, once you get those first few runs on the board, like my husband was, he couldn't understand why I spent so much time on Facebook, and it used to get quite annoying for him. I know. I'm sure you've got partners that don't kind of agree with the way you do things. And but once he got his own page and started to communicate with people on there and gets bookings through Facebook, so he is by far a convert when it comes to having his own page, which is Vitality Options Massage. So it's growing. He's not in there. He doesn't use social media to the extent that I do, but he is in there and he communicates people through the chat. And is there kind of an etiquette in the US around having Facebook friends that are clients?
It goes back and forth. Some people believe not to, other ones believe it's okay, other ones are on the fence about it. It's just like, you can't win.
If you keep your clients on your business page, that's all great. So, yeah, definitely encourage that, absolutely. Because it's a place where you can, put your videos, and we've even used some of your videos, Ryan, those little short 15-second ones.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you don't want to do it all yourself, that's why these tools are here, to make it easier, and it just adds some life to your page, so you don't have to keep trying to think up something to write or say. or whatever. Like, you know, today we posted just a thing about Father's Day with a guy bending over holding his back, just reminding people that they can get a gift voucher for their dad for Sunday.
Yep. And what are some of the biggest holidays for people buying gift certificates for massage, would you say, over there?
Oh, look, birthdays are still the biggest one, but yeah, definitely Christmas. Christmas and birthdays are the big ones. But for certain, Mother's Day is huge, especially if you're doing any kind of beauty treatments, that sort of thing. Mother's Day is huge. And couples massage for Valentine's Day.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I think it's just a matter of having a bit of a plan, thinking a little bit in advance and just reminding people that these holidays are coming up and that you're there to make it easy for them. Like, it's a lot easier than going to the shops. We'll drop the voucher down to you. You don't even have to come here. We'll go and deliver it to you. So we make it, I think making it really easy for your customers is the way to go. They love it if they ring up and they don't, I've forgotten my husband's birthday and I really need to touch that. So what's when they come out and say, don't worry, we'll drop it down. They love that. So
and what's one of your biggest success stories? Just pick one. No.
Biggest success story. Look, now are you talking in our business or just generally?
Generally, you can do, yeah. Or we can come back to that question if you want.
I'm trying to think of a good joint venture. Yeah, there's one that's right on the tip of my tongue. Hang on, do you want to come back to it?
Yeah, we can come back to it, yeah. And how do you encourage rebooks? Because massage therapists over here have a really hard time with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look, ask every time. Make it easy for your client. So what we've started to do, we do rebook most of our clients. What we've started to do is, if they can't, quite often it is a case of they just don't know what their schedule's going to be. And so we offer a service for busy people where we will ring them at a certain time each month so that they've got their diaries in front of them, they've got their new rosters or schedule, and we book them in that way. And people really appreciate that. So my number one suggestion is always ask for a rebook because it's a service to do so. It's also remind people that you exist because they don't not rebook because they don't want to come and see you. They don't rebook because they're busy. And so by making it easy for you to be in front of them, whether it be like your newsletter or your email, so that your number is there, or like even magnets on the fridge, that sort of thing, the easier you make it for them to contact you, the more likely you're going to get the rebook. And offer a reminder service, absolutely, especially for people who are busy or have shift work. That would definitely be my suggestion with rebooks. But just always ask.
Yeah. And what if people are hard to ask those kind of questions too? I know some people are more passive and more quiet and things like that. Is there any kind of recommendations?
Yeah, look, I think this is where we're really coming into your area, Ryan, because it's about the conversation that you have with your client during the consultation process. It's about the conversation. And so if they have a chronic problem, one massage isn't going to be what's best for them. So, talking about what led up to having this situation and then having some kind of treatment plan or, sort of referring to the fact that a plan might be necessary. And it could even be saying, well, what I've found with this kind of injury in the past is this works well. And so at the end, when you get to the actual point of the rebook, it will just be expected rather than something coming, cold out of the blue.
Okay.
I think that's,
that's very nice, yes, definitely. Because, again,
so
some people...
Yes, it's not standalone.
Yep. And then what do you recommend therapists to do on their downtime? So let's say they have many hours that they don't have massages or something. And
marketing. The key is actually to continue to promote your business in your busy times, because what that will do is reduce the likely that you're going to get these deep troughs. So having just a consistent marketing approach where you so look, even if you're just putting a blast out on Facebook once a week, you know, it's better if it's daily or whatever, but if it's once a week, that's better than not. And mixing it up and having, if you don't want to do a newsletter every month, do it seasonally. And just have some consistent practices. Do that when you're busy and when you're quiet. And what that will do is would reduce those quiet times. So that would be my suggestion. Hey, I thought of a good success story.
Okay.
It's one. And what it was actually for a new practitioner who didn't have any clients, brand new to the area. And what they did was joint ventured with the local gymnasium. Now, I know this seems obvious, but I just want to point out a couple of the way they went about it was because, okay, gymnasium. Gyms need to be seen as taking care of their members. It's really important. And so what this therapist did, went to the gym and said, look, how about I give you a massage every month to give to your member of the month? Now, the member of the month didn't exist. There was no member of the month. It was actually an idea that the therapist had to get into the gym. So he said, look, you just tell me who the member of the month is and why you chose them. I will make up a little letter for your member. I'll put both of our I'll put the gym logo and the massage therapist logo on it. And I'll make up some little posters. If you send me a photo of the member of the month, I'll put it on them and I'll write underneath, you know, congratulations, this person's won member of the month, this is why, and they laminated it. So they actually did the work. So it was so easy for the gym to then have the flyers up in a couple of places in the gymnasium.
Uh-huh.
And for a new person who was in the target market, in the niche, to actually come and be rewarded with their massage. And the good thing about that is it's very, it is the niche group that this massage therapist was after. So if that person is happy with the service, then they can tell their friends. And this practice literally got off the ground doing this. Just starting with the local gym and having the initiative to go in and say, look, how about you do a member of the month? I'll do everything. You just have to tell me who. And the referrals started to come through. And once you start to get those referrals coming through, it snowballs. Then you just keep reminding them that they'll be rewarded. And then it just has that snowball effect. And you can feel your practice that way, just by being consistent.
Oh, awesome.
So that's a good example.
Yep, definitely.
Because it's practical.
Yep, yeah.
I'm not going to say, go and stand on the top of Mount Coolum and get a helicopter to fly by. So really, really practical. Actually, you know what? I want to have a challenge, because there's a really, I reckon we should put it out there for someone to do this, to lift up the profile of massage therapy, because the Guinness Book of Records for massage is really poor. It's like 54 people for 15 minutes or something is the Guinness Book of Records for massage therapists. So, there's 54 people in our street that do massage. There are a lot of them where I live.
Yep.
So, I'm thinking, get your massage therapist down to the local park, have 1,000 of them, can you get some, your associations and the massage schools all together and sort of drum up some excitement and everyone take their table or even a chair and just do seated massage for 15 minutes. 1,000 people, that's a Guinness Book of Records.
Yep, because this last year they were going to do it, a group was going to do it, and just before it happened it kind of fell through. But it looks like next year they're going to try it in Las Vegas.
Okay, great.
Yep, so they're hopefully it'll go through and stuff like that. So
And the thing is, you get much bigger numbers than us. You have these conferences and things with thousands of people. We don't have that.
Well, you guys don't have conferences? Oh, there's your husband? Is that your husband behind you?
My husband? This is my husband, Dean. This is Ryan, the massage nurse.
Yep.
I've heard so many good stories about you.
Thank you.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, be passionate about, Dean's really passionate about what you do. Now, you did ask me about people that were more introverted, didn't you?
Yep.
Yeah, look, I think the treatment break, because Dean's really passionate. He's happy to get out there. He's happy to be massaging down at the local cafe. I think it is about that client relationship process at the end of the day, and about helping people at that deeper level, about, showing a little bit of yourself and being who you are. I think that's really important for those that aren't as forthcoming, just to be yourself and to demonstrate what you stand for, because you will attract the people that have the same mindsets and beliefs, and that's really important for those that are more introverted. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yeah, and a big problem here is so many people are scared about giving their services away for free, because when they're going through massage school, they're constantly giving away for free all the time, and I think they just get burnt out so much. So is there any happy medium with that? Or?
Yeah, look, my suggestion is, as I said earlier, is to draw a line. Once you've graduated, it's no longer free. In saying that, it is okay to give free massages to hubs in your community. For example, the example I gave earlier about the gym and the member of the month, to give the owners of that gymnasium a free massage so they can freely recommend you without thinking, oh, I don't know if this person's any good, that would be an appropriate free massage.
Okay.
But no, do not give it away for free. You're worth way more than that, absolutely. Do not discount ridiculously. If you are good at what you do, you need to just make it easy for other people to tell others about you. As easy, and being on social media is a great way to do that, because then people can share it with their friends and it takes the pressure off you. So, yeah, look, free when it's strategic is fine, but not just because, I've given it to them for free before, so I'm going to keep doing it. No, once you've graduated, it's time to start charging, and they can just send you their friends, and they can pay also.
Okay. Good answer, yeah. And is there any common mistake? Hi again.
Can I just say something?
Yeah.
I just went to a large accountancy firm out there, and all their workers had bad backs. I was getting one or two from them, so I went round to about 20 people in the accountancy firm and corrected their posture in the seat. I got 5 massages today, booked.
What?
Okay. But as I say, Dean demonstrates his passion. So however demonstrating your passion is right for you, perhaps you like to write. If that's how you can happily demonstrate your passion, write about it. Write about tips for your clients, and have a blog so that you can share what you're passionate about. And if it's health in general, starts to share some of the other philosophies and the other health beliefs you have, But be visible. It's really important that you're seen. Don't hide behind your open for business sign, because this is a Chinese proverb. It is, opening a business is easy, but to keep it open is an art. But you do need to be visible. However that works well for you.
Definitely. And then, is there any final words at all that you want to sign off on?
Oh, look, okay. I didn't want to leave it on a negative note, but, with the way things have been in the States, I just want to say that because it's been financially difficult, we've had a really rough time here too, because in our area we had, I don't know if you saw all the really bad floods and things that we had.
Yeah.
Around Christmas, it completely wiped out our tourism season.
Oh.
and and it's taken a while to recover from that. The whole area is struggling with that. And so I want to say that for those of you that keep going, that keep marketing your business, that keeps keeping your eye on the vision, who just press through this thing that's temporary, you are going to fly when you get through the other end. So keep going. If you know in your heart you're meant to be doing this, if you know in your heart that people's health is of the utmost importance to you and that's what you're meant to be doing, I want to encourage you to keep going, to keep promoting what you do, to keep getting the word out there, and you will be rewarded, absolutely. I just feel really, really strongly about that, and just want to encourage those that are really serious about making a difference to the health of others, because people need you.
Yes, definitely, and very, very nice on the words of encouragement. So, yeah. And the thing is, I mean, I thought things would be totally different over there for massage. It is somewhat, so that's the nice thing about it. But there's a lot of similarities in a way too. So. Yeah, so I definitely got a lot out of tonight too and stuff, and I especially again I love the thing about two people coming in for one price for the massage and stuff. I mean, I love that idea. I think
as long as you time limit it and be strong on the time limit.
Yep.
Have that expiry date, and that's important because that's your value and that's your credibility. And once you give it, if you let someone else do it, and then and it just becomes wishy-washy then.
Yep. And what's the easiest way for people to get a hold of you then?
Definitely my website. Oh, no, let's do Facebook. Krishna Everson. So that's Krishna, Everson, Everson. My website, I would love people to get my free downloadable guide, which is how to attract more clients without losing your sanity. All right. Yeah, exactly. We don't want you to go crazy in the process. Just keep it simple. So that will show them lots of different things that they can do right now, and you just download it for free at my website, which is healthymarketing.com.au. Or connect with me, Facebook. I've got 2 Facebook pages. One is Healthy Marketing Blueprint, and the other is Health Practice Success, Healthy Marketing for Your Health Biz. Very long. I didn't think that one through when I first started, so but it does have my keywords in it, so that's good. Look, I'd love to connect with you personally. So Krishna Everson, absolutely, I would love to connect with you there. But please download my free ebook, How to Attract More Clients Without Losing Your Sanity.
Yep. So again, over there, I mean, it's around noon your time, and it's like around 10 o'clock or so our time, PM. Central Standard Time and stuff, so it's still workable, and so yep, definitely. Yep, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you tonight.
Pleasure, and I don't mind doing late calls. I'm quite bright at night, so I can do the 10 PMs when your days are beginning. Okay. Absolutely, I'm quite happy with that. If you want to Skype late.
Okay, perfect.
Or late for me, early for you. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yep. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Yep.